truth or trash. The New Orleans Pelicans are more likely to win an NBA title this year than the Miami Heat.
Oh, why would you give me that one? That's I'm gonna say trash, and I don't want to like knock down any of the enthusiasm with the Pelicans, even though like of course Zion Williamson goes down. Seems like it's
NBI
okay.
too in the loss to the Jazz, and it's like, oh
Yeah,
right.
Ingram and Zion both out in the same game. Ingram with concussion symptoms, I want to say. He tried to come back and then it didn't feel right, and then went to the locker room. Zion with a gnarly fall on a really clean block by Jordan Clarkson of all people, chasing him down to block a dunk.
What is going on in Utah?
That's like a Mad Lib. Like Jordan Clarkson chased down Zion Williamson to block a dunk. Like that's too absurd to be purposeful. I think the Heat have looked. I've caught them a handful of times already this year. The results haven't been great, but I think the Heat look. I had the feeling of, I kind of underrated the Heat when we were talking about the best teams in the East. I think Hero is going to be okay in the starting lineup. I was concerned about that, but I think you can get away with it. I think every time I watch Gabe Vincent, he's hitting big threes and taking charges. I don't know if it's one of those things where I catch him on the good nights, but Gabe Vincent looks really good. And obviously Butler still looks great. Adebayo is good. The Pelicans, as we're seeing right now, have injury concerns, haven't done it yet. I mean, the Heat could have been in the finals last year. They were like a shot away. So I can't quite get there with the Pels, even though I feel like the Pels are zero question a playoff team if they have decent injury luck and maybe like a top 6.
Truth or trash, the New Orleans Pelicans are more likely to win an NBA title than the Philadelphia 76ers this
year. I have to go trash too, because if I say that after 3 games, I couldn't live with myself. They look a lot better right now, but I can't get there. There's so much season left.
I'm gonna go. I don't know what I would. I only had the Sixers one in case you said truth on the Heat one, because it's truth for me on the Heat one. I'm just there with the Pelicans. I think not the only argument, but if it's okay, well, let's see Zion make it to the end of the season and this team be fully intact. I kind of get it, but they're so deep and they're built to play just so many different ways. And the defense feels just so fundamentally sound, where they sort of laid this blueprint for what they were going to do last year. And a lot of it feels like it is just stuck. And they're a team that has still been pretty good, at defending in or just absolutely eliminating transition opportunities off of live rebounds. And that's big. The fact that they are such a good rebounding team, they are built to end possessions. And I can't remember who said this, but what podcast I was listening to, it said that New Orleans' best offense is missing a shot so that they can get the offensive rebound. So shout out to whoever had said that. It's just like, and when CJ and BI and Zion look like they're just like already there's an alchemy there. And Zion, I don't even know if he's all the way back yet, but then he has one of those games where he takes like 28 shots in the restricted area anyway. They're just such a force, and they're deeper than both of the teams I just mentioned. And yeah, the West is kind of tough, but New Orleans feels like their product might come together into its new normal, or like sustain a fever pitch quicker than what's happening in a Minnesota, or quicker than maybe even what's happening in Denver as they're trying to figure things out. I wouldn't put them. The Denver Nuggets were my title pick, so let's pump the brakes there. And I remain unconcerned about that one loss to the Jazz so far. I'm there on New Orleans, and we were both high coming into the season. My prediction was that they would win 50 games, and I'm just wondering if I wasn't high enough on them. And again, the health questions need to be thrown in there, but Trey Murphy, by and large, looks fantastic. He has hit like actual difficult threes where he's been moving on them, and he's done some stuff.
He's a real movement shooter that like will bend the defense. I think he's like a difference maker this year.
Herbert Jones currently leads the league in plus minus because he's just fucking annihilatory.
Yeah.
And again, it's just so deep, having the Larry Nance Jr. option just sort of sitting there. And I can't get over. Yeah, if you want to say, well, do they have enough complementary shooting? Is relying on Trey Murphy, is that like just too much there? I was kind of curious. It's like what the Jonas Valanciunas fit would look like in the front court with Zion. It's fine. Yeah, I don't expect him to shoot 40% on threes on like 2 attempts per game, but that's like also not ridiculous given the stretch he's provided before. And it's not as if they've juiced up his volume. Do you trust Jose Alvarado to continue hitting his threes? Maybe not, but Fred Vincent also sort of exists here. And lo and behold, like they're not even playing, like Devontae Graham hasn't logged a ton of minutes and he hasn't looked great. It's not like they're relying on Dyson Daniels yet. There's nothing when you look at New Orleans right now that screams outlier. And I'm going to tell you what I actually think is the biggest difference here is, or not the biggest difference, but the thing that tells me the most is it's not the idea of a healthy Zion. It's this idea and what we've seen in practice that Brandon Ingram is just this star level player who can toggle between 80 different existences on offense. Like you need him to go hit tough shots over KD, fine. But you need him to cut or go back door on like a defender who's ball watching. Okay, he's going to do that too. He doesn't need to be on the ball. You need him to like kind of hit his spot up threes. He's going to do that as well. This is just like, I'll say offensively, like one of the most scalable star talents in the league.
That's the word. That's the word. He's scalable. And I don't know if that's what you want. I mean, ideally you want a guy to just be, well, he's so good. Clearly he's the number one option. We don't have to talk about scalability, but that's like 3 guys in the whole league. Maybe Ingram is like that next level down where he can do that, like you said, but he doesn't have to. And that leaves so much breathing room for everybody else as this offense does sort of figure out like where we all need to be to like make this work. But so the issue for me, and I think most people coming in this season was defensively, how is New Orleans going to get a stop? Right. So like you said, they've been fine, maybe better than that so far. And like, this is with just looking on Cleaning the Glass right now, opponents are shooting 54.5% on corner threes. They're not like allowing a ton of them. They're just going in. So you could make the argument that the defensive number should be even better and will be. The other thing,
and one of those teams they played was the Jazz, who were shooting like 56%.
The Jazz, we just can't talk about the Jazz because, well, I don't know. But so the other thing is rim protection, right? Because Valanciunas just doesn't get off the floor. They were going to struggle there, and Zion doesn't defend the rim despite his athleticism. So opponents are shooting again super early. Like one game could totally flip these, and the Pelicans could have the best rim defense numbers. But opponents aren't getting to the rim a ton. It's a middle of the pack figure. They are shooting almost 66% at the rim, which is kind of expected. But if those attempts aren't super high, like opponents aren't, in the top, they're not getting to the rim at like a top 5 rate in the league, you can live with that. So like the numbers, even early as it is, like augur well for New Orleans being competent defensively, I think. So, and if that was the question, like so far your answer is it's going to be okay. And then the offense can just, there will be nights where they just go for 145 points and it doesn't matter what they do defensively.
Did I talk you into half a truth here? It feels like you want to say you're going to pick them over Miami. It feels like you want to.
I think for entertainment purposes, I would love for that to happen. I can't give up on the Sixers after 3 games and the Heat being.
I'm the Sixers one I get. I don't know if I'm there with the Heat. This is, Bam Adebayo is just sort of like this anagram for 6 of 13, 7 of 13 from the floor. And it's just, you can't trust him never, or 5 of 9, whatever you want, like whatever joke you want to make there. I don't know how their offense levels up this year. Maybe Kyle Lowry's just going to be, after that one game where he was terrible, he's looked fine since. So, but this is less about Miami and maybe Philly, and it's just more about New Orleans to me.
Right.